Welcome to the Parent Advocacy Resource Team for all ages and stages of parenthood. I'm Irene Gouge, founder of Loving Less in Sleep Consulting and Postpartum Doula Solutions, and your host today of the Parent Advocacy Resource Team. I have a special guest today, Doreen, and we work with different businesses to partner with parents to create a network of trusted professionals to provide families with solutions to navigate the journey of being a family. We do this through education, advocacy, empowerment, and connection. And I'm super excited for our guest today, Doreen, who's going to be talking to us a little bit about the Children's School of Yoga. She is the founder and recently also founded Kids Yoga Meets Astrology, combining the science of astrology, which is thousands of years old, and the science of yoga, which is thousands of years old. Doreen founded one of the first yoga franchises nationwide, with thousands of children participating in the program. Welcome, Doreen.
Thank you, Irene, and namaste. That is how we greet our yoga friends. It means the light in me sees the light in you.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you. I'm so glad you're here. And when we get started, one of the things we like to talk about with our families here on Park is that sometimes there's things we do or say in our parenting that don't always bring light to the situation. And so sometimes we're maybe not so proud of those moments. Or maybe we could be. Is there anything there's something that you never thought you would say as a parent?
Well, it's so funny. My children are adult children now, and there is such a generational gap from when I was brought up and my children. The sayings that have come to mind that I share with them, they have no idea what I'm talking about. And one of those recently happened where I said to my son, who do you think we are, the Rockefellers? And he has no idea what I'm speaking about, but it was something I was brought up in that I would hear often when I'd be asking for things at the time. Mm-hmm. And so I run into that many times with my adult children, that there's just such a generational gap. They just don't understand those sayings that an older parent like myself, I'm in my 50s, I have 3 grandsons. So an older parent like myself, I still parent. I parent my kids, I parent my grandkids and stuff at times. And I have to be, very mindful of the sayings that I use today. So I'm very fortunate I work with kids because I know what the kids are talking about and what the parents are saying to them and whatnot. So I know how to relate to them. But to my own kids, sometimes they'll look at me like I have 10 heads. They have no idea what I'm talking about.
That is what our children will do, right? There is that generational gap. Even my kiddos are just teens, but you don't look like you're old enough to have older children like that, to have grandchildren. So what's your secret?
Thank you, Irene.
What's your secret?
Yoga.
Doreen?
I have to say, yoga actually scientifically has been proven to help prevent facial wrinkles. And because upside down poses change the blood flow in your body to help prevent that. I do drink tons of water. And it's glass water bottle, not plastic, but that actually has a crystal in it. I love crystals, but the energy of crystals. I drink a lot of water. I don't do coffee. I don't do tea. I rarely drink alcohol. And I do love the sun here in the Carolinas, but I try to always wear a visor or cover my face. So,
those are some really great tips, so we're talking about maybe not aging so much in parenting. And those are some really awesome things that we can do.
I agree. I also think working with children keeps you young. I really think it keeps you playful. It keeps you young. And we're actually in that season right now. We just entered Leo season, and Leo season is about that playfulness, that creativity, the young childlike nature. So I think that's part of it too. And genes. I guess I got some good genes.
Okay. Well, so talk to me a little bit, because you're bringing up Leo. That's the astrology piece.
Yes.
Tell me what that's all about. How did you get into all of this?
So interestingly enough, we all were in a 2-year lockdown almost with the pandemic, and about 75 of my schools closed to us. So I lost about 80% of my yoga business where they did not go virtual. We were hoping they would, but academics was most important for schools, not enrichment programs, not yoga, not mindfulness, not meditation, not relaxation techniques. So during that time, I spent 9 months literally curled up in a ball because I had built this business from the ground up and couldn't believe I was kind of so frustrated that schools and childcare centers and politics got in the way. They just didn't see the importance of the program and of children needing a way to release the stress and tension during this terrible time we've been through. So during that time, after 9 months of like being rolled up in a ball, literally at times, and just like wanting to cry, which I did many times.
It can be very cathartic to help through.
I will say I was very fortunate. My business was in 5 states. I had franchises. I had franchised the business. So it was diversified enough that we held on. We held on to the business. Probably some other people might have shut doors and said, forget it. It's not worth it. But I am so loyal and just, it is mine. And we helped so many children that I just couldn't let it go. So after 9 months, I had a friend that I went to grade school with all the way through, and she was doing astrology and she was offering free intro classes to astrology. And I was like, you know what? I'm still stuck home. Maybe I should take class. A lot of people were taking virtual classes, but I just couldn't get into them. So I took a virtual class with her and continued to study and study more and study more. And astrology to me was like, whew. It did something in the new age world called opening the third eye. It opened up my chakras. It opened up my third eye. At that time, it was 16 years of yoga. Well, actually more. I've done yoga longer than I've taught it. I had done yoga 23 years at that point, but astrology opened up here and here for me. Astrology did it. So I started to study with her. I still do at times. She's wonderful. I love her. I am very grateful to her to introducing me to astrology. But from that, I also started to look into other new age things that I personally love, like angels and tarot cards and all of that spiritual and crystals. So all of that I got certified in virtually during this time we've been sitting home. And then being the yoga business owner I am, I was like, time to integrate this into my curriculum. And so the astrology piece took 15 months to make this curriculum for schools. It is a school program, school age. So that means from kindergarten through senior year to senior high school years, not seniors year, but seniors in high school. That it goes from, here it's like, it could be anywhere from August, September to May. In the Northeast schools, it's like September to June. But anyway, I made this curriculum for schools to use to bring the world of astrology and the world of yoga, both thousands of years old, which you introduced, thank you, and bring them together. And what if a child could understand it's a new moon tomorrow night? What does a new moon mean to me? What do we do on a new moon? How can that help me? And a new moon is when you release things. If a child's mad at somebody, perfect time to release that. If they're even upset with their siblings or a parent, we teach them breaths and meditations to release that. Journaling comes in, so important. But astrology is so big. It's so much. It's the planets, the sun and the moon. It is something called houses, which we all live in houses, and it's kind of the same way. Each house is decorated different. So it brings different flavors. And then zodiac sign, which I mentioned Leo earlier, we just entered the Leo zodiac sign when you're born. Most people know their sign. You'll ask somebody about astrology and they'll be like, oh, I'm a Pisces. That's what I am. But something else is more influential with me when I was born at the time of day, Leo. So I am what's called a Leo rising. I personally connect more with Leos than I do with Pisces, but it's okay. So It's a way to introduce children to all these wonderful scientific facts that they can look at, they can see themselves at night. Many of the planets are visible except for the furthest planets. So you can see Mercury and Venus and Mars and the moon. You can see all of these. You can see when we have astrological events like tomorrow night, moon is void, moon is dark, moon is black. So I know I'm very excited. I
see your passion. I see your passion in what you're doing and the excitement that you have to share and educate.
I do. So another reason I just couldn't walk away from the business when the pandemic hit. And we're still, to this day, it is still affecting the business, especially more in New York, where I just can't get us back in schools because we were labeled, and I don't know who came up with this, non-essential. Gotcha. And so that term for me is something that, I won't even say on this interview what I want to do with that term, but we, so I feel like we're very essential for children's mind, body, spirit, health and wellness, and families, because I meet a lot of parents that are like, I want to take that class. I want to learn about that stuff. So we do family yoga, which you can have children do with parents together.
Well, tell me a little bit about that. Tell me why you choose to do family yoga.
Yes, sure. So when I started the business 18 years ago, I actually came from a dancer background. I had a dancing background, and you could get dropped off from the time you were like 2.5 years old or 3 years old to do dance and gymnastics and many other type of activities like that. And that's fine and great. And we allow that with our school age children and teens. So school age is kindergarten on up, 5 years old and up. But I felt that it was so important to practice yoga and meditation and mindfulness as a family, instead of the child coming home and the parent asking, so how was class today? What did you learn? And the child would be like, nothing, or things like, I felt it was really important to have classes they could do together. I also came from a play program that also they kind of stressed that. I had worked years before my yoga business with Gymboree for 6 or 8 years. So I had that training where I saw the importance of parents and children doing things together. So I integrated into my own curriculum. Family yoga is when children and siblings can do yoga with their parent or parents. Then we have parent-child yoga, which I defined a little differently for under 5-year-olds with their parent, because doing yoga with a toddler is very different than doing yoga with your teen.
It sure is. It's
a big difference. I know that. We have a curriculum for that. We divide our curriculum into 3 age groups: under 5 years old, school-aged, and then teen. And that's how we have always divided the age groups. And so, yes, I love family yoga because it is just such a precious time that you see the parent and children connecting. Yeah. They can partner pose together. They can do breaths together and meditations together. It's a beautiful thing. It really is.
Well, I think it's interesting that because I oftentimes when I'm talking to parents, I'm like, our children are going to do what we do, not what we say. And so it sounds like you really get to bring that together and everyone's practicing together.
Absolutely. Yes. It's key. It's very important because it's funny. It's kind of when they'll sometimes switch roles and the child becomes the parent, and the child will remind the parent during the week, we have to practice our own work. I call it own work. So instead of homework. And I did not come up with that. That's actually someone else in the kids yoga business came up with that, but I love it. So they get homework to do at home together. And often the children will remind the parent, because parents are busy. We're busy. We're working, or we're, taking care of the home and family. It's a crazy time.
Yeah. So Doreen, you mentioned that you're like an enrichment program. So do you have like an actual physical building? Like you mentioned different franchises, what does that look like?
Thank you for asking. Right now, I have most of my supplies that were in my brick and mortar yoga studio that was in New York based into storage in a storage locker here in the Carolinas. And what happened was for 14 to 16 years, we had our own studio where parents could come to us. But during the pandemic, that had to close. I won't get into the details, but I have been looking for a space in the triangle to house us and have our own brick and mortar. In the meantime, we do rent space from whether it be yoga studios, community centers. We do even a lot of people live in communities where they have their own clubhouse. We can come teach on site there, but we go to the kids. So we don't necessarily need a brick and mortar, although my new vision is to have a healing center for kids and not just yoga. Mm-hmm. And I want to incorporate the healing modalities of astrology, the healing modalities of crystals, of children's Reiki, of even angel and tarot card things. The kids today are just so intuitive. They are so different. I've been teaching for 18 years. The kids 18 years ago are very different than the kids today. And it's the intuition that they're coming in with, the new age things they come in and want to learn or already know. But so I am looking for a space. If there's anybody out there, anyone listening, anybody that has a space, number one thing, must have wood floors. Wood floors are top of the list. That is.
Okay. So well, if you have it, write it down in the comments below. Connect with Doreen so she can get that information.
Thank you.
Make that vision come true. And Doreen, tell me how, if someone is looking to get connected with you and learn more about the Children's School of Yoga, how would they find you?
So they can find our website, www.thechildren'sschoolyoga.com. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. I am personally on LinkedIn. We are on Instagram. The only thing we haven't yet kind of jumped into is TikTok. Okay. The only thing going on. So you can find us on all of those ways. And we also offer virtual classes that way through our website or Zoom.
Okay. So Doreen, I have a question for you because I know that some people might not believe in yoga, or maybe their religious beliefs might hold them back. What would you say to somebody about that?
That has been brought up for years. It's a very good point. And I know we live in the Bible Belt. And first of all, I'm Jewish. So here I am, is yoga based on a religion? It has ties to Buddhism. It was based out of India. However, it has become so much more than that these days, and especially children's yoga. In adult yoga, you may have a lot more ties to that. In children's yoga, I make it all about fun, engaging, theme-orientated classes. And the themes are not religious-based. They have nothing to do with religion. But there are certain terminology that you'll hear in a yoga class that might not sit well for some parents. And look, we totally understand that. We are flexible, no pun intended. We have taught in very, very Jewish religion schools where we do not use Om or Namaste. They prefer not to have that. And I have to say, actually, that was 10 years ago where they didn't want that. Now they're fine with it. And so, so we are flexible in regards to that when we deal with schools and school directors and whatnot. So it's a great question. It's a real biggie. There was a huge battle in California, legal battle over this that I'm very familiar with. And so people can Google that because, it takes too much time to explain what wound up happening with it. But that being said, just imagine going to the beach in yoga, going to the ocean in yoga. This week, we're going to the rodeo with the kids. This is how we teach. We teach kids that way with themes. And so, but age appropriately.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I think it's good just to, a lot of times it's this mindfulness and awareness of Absolutely. What we're doing, why we're doing it. And it sounds like you're really working to help everyone get to a place of calm and relaxation and like living a better, healthier life.
Yes, that is definitely part of it today. You know what, kids, especially, parents that were teaching at home and homeschoolers, I know we have a huge homeschool network in the area.
Mm-hmm.
They often will see the stress their children are under in the public schools. I have to say the public schools more than private schools, the stress that goes on in the public schools and for the teachers. And even in childcare centers, I have never seen a more stressful time in my 25 years in the industry working with kids as I have seen in the past 2. Yeah. So the timing of needing mindfulness techniques, meditation, yoga techniques, this is the time. It will really helps a child. And I see children stressed as young as 3 years old. 3 years old, they are ready. They feel what the parents feel, or the teacher, or the teachers. Yes. And those that are in childcare centers all day or with teachers all day, they feel that energy. You don't have to tell them anything. They feel it.
That is the truth. Even newborns, like right from the beginning, like they know if you have an anxious mama or daddy with them. And so taking care of ourselves is really important. And so I wonder if you have a self-care tip that you can share with our parents so that they can do a better job. And I shouldn't say better job, so they can just have a better quality of life and connection with their child.
Absolutely, Irene. And it's funny, we talked about whether I should do it on the mat or not. I think I'm going to stay right in the chair to do it because it's something you can do anywhere. You can do it in the car. You can do it at home. You can do it anywhere. It's a really important breath that they're starting to teach recently. And I have to give credit to somebody else I'm studying with. His name is Adam. He's wonderful. And it's all about a breath called the heart-brain coherent breath. And basically what you want your families, parents, children of all ages can do this breath. Basically, you're going to just put your hand on your heart, and you can put one hand on your heart, you can put both hands on your heart. For the kids, I sometimes like to make the shape of a heart because they need visuals. Kids need visuals. So along with that, we are going to take a moment to close our eyes so that you can really focus on your heart. And what you're going to do during this time is think about what makes you the happiest. Irene, I want you to think about what makes you the happiest. What will bring a smile instantly to your face? Parents and children, think about what makes you the happiest. And it's different for everybody. But I share that for me, thinking about my 3 grandchildren immediately brings a smile to my face. And I feel warmth start to spread through my body when I think about that. So thinking about the thought that for you works. It could be spending time at the beach. It could be spending time with friends or family. It's not usually things. Not material things. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to take a moment. We're going to breathe into our heart, thinking about that thing that brings that joy, that love, that happiness. It could be performing in music. It could be your creative side, drawing or artistic, whatever it is. Focus on that and just breathe in and out, thinking about that and feeling that warmth start to expand. And what starts to happen is you can visualize, you can make your brain visualize seeing the picture grow, and imagine that your heart space is becoming almost like a giant heart surrounding you, or a bubble, or with kids, we use a balloon sometimes. And nothing can get into that bubble, that heart, that balloon space. It bounces off. It's not going to bother you. And as you're in that safe, beautiful, warm, delicious, loving space, you can invite people in that you want to invite in. Your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your children, your teachers, your pets even. And when you feel like you have expanded your heart just a tiny bit, you can open your eyes, and you can do this anywhere, anytime, for any amount of time. But what happens is your heart has an electromagnetic field, and that electromagnetic field projects out. And that electromagnetic field is a lot stronger than actually even your brain. And so that is how, when you walk into a room or somebody walks into a room, you'll know, wow, look at that person. Not look at them physically, but that person, wow, that person is great energy. You can tell usually right away.
Yeah.
Kids will tell you if somebody's great energy or not. Just ask a kid.
They pick up on all that. But I think that's a great, opportunity to just kind of pause in your day, go through, have a little meditation and that visualization. Like, I think that's a beautiful self-care tip to be able to share, because you could do that anywhere, anytime. It can really reset.
Absolutely. And so, there are hundreds of breaths we teach the children like that. And that was not only a breath, that was like a mindfulness technique, a meditation, and it also connects the breath, the brain, and the heart. Yeah. And there are connections in the body between the brain and the heart. Yeah. And so important for children.
Well, Doreen, I know that we could talk about this, and I know you have so much passion to share with everyone, but I'm so glad that I got to know you better here and learn more about the Children's School of Yoga. And we're grateful for everyone tuning in here with the Parent Advocacy Resource Team, where we partner with parents to navigate this journey of life and being a family. Thank you so much, Doreen.
Namaste. Thank you, Irene and Part. I love this program. I'm so looking forward to helping parents and meeting families.